questions. Coach?
Jeff, you had a QB competition in the spring. Now you got one in the fall. How's it been kind of distributing the reps and just evaluating the guys?
No, it's a true competition, man. It's been great. The guys are going out and competing. They're helping each other in the classroom. But it's nice to see, like, even though they're competing, they're all helping each other out. And, really like the progress of, all of our quarterbacks. And, we're approaching like our first scrimmage pretty soon. We'll have some more answers, here in the near future. But, right now they're all doing a nice job of competing, learning the offense, getting through our installs and doing a nice job of executing what we're asking them to do.
Last year, you knew who your quarterback was. You knew exactly what his skill set was. So I imagine you could tailor your offense immediately to that guy. Do you have to teach more of the offense because you have two slightly different skill sets, or is it just you'll call the plays that sort of fit, the player?
No, I think every year you have to model your offense around your players on offense. Not just the quarterback. So, we're still going through all of our installs. That's one good thing about going through spring practice, and in the summer you can kind of just go through your installs, and then as you get closer to the season, you can kind of narrow it down to see like exactly what plays have been successful, exactly what your identity is going to be on offense. So right now we're going through all of our installs. We're about
just like you normally would.
Just like we normally would, and like I said, the guys are competing. We got a lot of competition at every position on offense, and it's nice to see it. Like, again, they're all competing and really getting after it.
Coach, you guys had such a successful offense last season. Ended up ranked at the end of the season. This time, you guys are heading in with a couple of votes in the coaches poll. Does that impact, what you guys are doing right now with, the expectations that are kind of lingering around the program?
Not really. The way Coach Brown, the way we run our program, and we're trying to get better every single day. So it's not like we're worried about what happened last year. It's a whole new season, a whole new coaching staff, a whole new group of players. So we're just focused on getting better as we approach the season.
Coach Brown mentioned when we talked to him last week, not necessarily looking at how are you going to replace Kyle McCord, how are you going to replace LaQuinn Allen, letting the players that you guys have right now shine and what they're good at. How would you assess the the offense as a whole and what they're good at this year?
Yeah, what we try to focus on with our guys is be themselves. We recruited them and they're here for a reason. So like we don't need the next Kyle McCord, we don't need the next LaQuinn Allen, we don't need the next OG. Rondé Gadsden. We want our guys to be themselves. They're here for a reason. As a coaching staff, we're trying to put them in the best position to magnify their strengths, and and that's what we're going to do. Going into the season.
Coach, can you take a look at the running back room and just what you've seen out of them and this committee that you have and the talent that you have?
Yeah, we definitely have some talented running backs. So, again, we're deep at every position on offense. So far, Yasin Willis has had a really good camp. Will Nixon's had a good camp. We got two Malachis, Malachi Coleman, Malachi James. Some guys who got some speed who've done a nice job, so far. And then Jalen Hart played last year. So, we have a good group of backs, who are making plays in the run and pass game, doing a nice job of what we're asking them to do.
How did you coach Will through his recovery, both as a coach and a dad?
Yeah, that's the toughest part when you get injured, especially early in the season. It's a mental thing, but it's great. He's fought through it. He's listened to the doctors. He's done everything they've asked him to do. Coach Fran did a good job of monitoring his reps, especially during spring practice. He could have practiced in the spring, but we held him out and until June, and right now he's 100%. There's nothing wrong with him, and he's making really good progress.
How much was OG a resource for him since they had the same injury?
Yeah, it was really good. They got surgery by the same doctor, same rehab. So yeah, he talked to him a lot, and he was kind of at the same exact stage as OG was last year. Same thing. So yeah, it was definitely a benefit for Will, to have someone to talk to about the injury.
When you guys assessed Dan Villari at the end of last year and sort of sat down and went over his season, what was sort of your assessment of how he played?
I thought Dan played well. It's tough when you're playing behind a player like Rondé Gadsden, but I think Dan is really ready to step up this year and show what he can do at the tight end position. He's a little bit different tight end than Rondé. but I have full faith in Dan that he can execute everything in our offense, in the run and in the pass game as a tight end.
So from our from my perspective, which is I'm not a coach, like it looked like he struggled at times maybe with the downfield passing game. Do you disagree? Like, what do you see maybe that I didn't see?
No, I think he was fine. I mean, you look at Pitt, he had some nice catches. He had very limited opportunities, because of Aranda. Aranda had, I think, 75 catches and probably close to 100 targets. So, Dan didn't have many chances, but he should get many more chances this year, for sure, playing the tight end position.
Coach, you guys had such a wealth of receivers last year, one of the most diverse receiver rooms in the country, and a lot of that was Kyle with how you geared your offense around that. But looking into this year, who stuck out to you receiver-wise so far, and do you anticipate having as pass-heavy of an offense as you did last year?
I think Darryl Gill, he stepped up for us last year. He's someone that has he's getting better and better, as he keeps learning the offense and becoming more, involved. Jonte Cook, someone that transferred, from Texas, he's doing a nice job learning the offense. And, he's made some plays for us, this training camp. And again, we're deep at that position, with Justice Ross Simmons and Emmanuel Ross, guys who have played. Now it's their time, and, looking forward to, seeing those guys get out there and hopefully make some big plays like the receivers did last year for us.
The guys have had nothing but good things to say about Jonte, both on and off the field. What's he been to that receiver room so far?
He's giving us kind of a veteran presence. He's really focused right now. He's really focused. He's excited to be here. Kid loves football. He's a football savant. He lives in the building. He understands all three positions. He's learning quickly, and we're really excited that he's here. And hopefully we can keep him healthy, and he continues to learn the offense and go out and have a good year for us.
Do you know how much you get to use Demetrius on offense? I don't imagine the plan is to play him like 140 snaps a game. Like, is there a play count or like a sweet spot for you guys?
No, not yet. He's a very, very talented young man. As a DB and as a wide receiver, when we recruited him, we told him he was going to play both, and we plan on doing that. The amount, I'm not sure yet. Right now, like I said, we're just taking reps. We haven't really game planned or done anything on any of our opponents or anything like that, but definitely happy he's here. He's a good athlete.
How do you try to utilize Jonte's speed? Obviously, that's kind of his best skill set. How do you think you guys can utilize that to your advantage?
We run our offense. The great thing about our offense, even if you look at last year, we spread the ball out. So all of our guys, all of our skill positions, they're going to have chances to make plays, and they got to make the plays when they're there. Whether it's running the ball, running routes, deep, intermediate routes. They got to make the plays when their number's called.
The offensive line has a lot of fresh faces coming from the transfer portal. What would you say about how they've been able to mesh, learn your offense, and really build some chemistry together?
It's been good. We're moving guys around constantly. There's some battles up front for sure. So every day, we're challenging them and kind of have a different first group, different second group, different third group. There's guys even the third group who are taking 1 reps, from time to time because we're still not sure at a couple of positions. But we do like the young talent we have up front. I think we're a lot bigger than we were last year. And we got some guys who've come in who've done a nice job and who are talented and just young, just need the reps of learning our offense, and they'll be fine. Once we get started.
Jeff, how do you see? Sorry to interrupt you. How do you see Yassine and Will building in as pass catchers in your offense? Seeing how much LeQuinn was utilized there last year.
Yeah, we don't really recruit backs who can't catch. So that's one of the criteria. They got to be able to catch the football. They got to be 3 down backs. They got to be able to protect the passer. They got to be able to catch the ball, and they got to be able to run it. If you talk to even the coaches at Jacksonville right now, they're really impressed with LeQuinn, how he's a total player. Not just a guy that runs the ball. He can block, he can catch, and do all those sorts of things. So those are the type of backs that we recruit, and Will and Yasin, it's their time, and like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing them go out and play on Saturdays.
We saw Dwight Freeney here today. We saw Keith Bullock here today. Davis is on the staff now. When are they going to bring somebody for you on the offensive side?
I know. I tell you what, I'm excited about legend Art Monk number being retired. He was somebody I looked up to, so I'm looking forward to definitely meeting him, when he comes in town. And yeah, it's great having the Dwight Freeney and Bullock and all those guys around. They have such a wealth of knowledge playing in the NFL, playing at Syracuse. It means something to those guys, and to be here, and they do a nice job of mentoring our guys and helping our coaching staff as well.
Coach, when you look at Angeli as well as Collins, beyond just the arm strength, the cadence, the decision-making, making reads, the poise that they have, just what you can say to what else they bring to this team and how they're fighting with each other beyond the arm.
I think they both bring something a little bit different. Steve has a little bit more of a veteran presence because of, he's played a little bit more, at Notre Dame, but Ricky's really talented, playing at LSU. So they both come from big time programs, both really smart, really smart as far as being able to learn the offense and still learning, to make some of the little details that we need them to make in our offense. But I like the way it's shaping up right now. I think we have, two really good quarterbacks, who are battling out to go along with a couple young guys who are definitely arrow up players who have a big upside for us.
In the spring, Coach Fran was pretty intent. It seemed like they needed to know who the quarterback was right away. It feels like you're going a little slower this time. Does that just speak to the talent of the players and letting them battle it out, or why maybe a little?
Yeah, because we got time. We still have a lot more practices before the first game. We got our scrimmages, and I think that'll kind of determine who will be the opening day starter.
Two more for Coach?
You mentioned that obviously you can only design so much of your offense before you know who the quarterback is, but last year so much of it was pass heavy because of Kyle. Do you anticipate, a huge change with that, or not really?
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. We pride ourselves as a coaching staff. We have such a great coaching staff. We're going to put our guys in the best position to win games. I even said this last year. I didn't know what direction our offense was going to go. But we have an offense, and again, we're capable of running the ball 40 times if we need to, or throwing it 40 times. We have enough offense in where we can do whatever it's going to take for us to be successful. So, we'll see as we get, all throughout training camp and how everything develops early in the season.
We heard Coach Brown's story of watching Steve against Penn State. What do you just remember from watching that drive against Penn State in that semifinal, and just what you saw from Steve in that?
Well, I was kind of upset since I'm a Penn State. But no, he played well. He played well, and when he got in the portal, and obviously we were really excited to get him to come here. We have some history, with Coach Campanelli. His brother, coaching him in high school, and Steve's a talented player. So it's great to see that. Again, he's not afraid to come and compete. He knew about Ricky having a really good spring, and Ricky's coming from LSU, playing behind two really good quarterbacks there, where he's learned from, and had a really good spring for us. So again, it's truly a battle. Like, no one's ahead right now, and like I said, we'll figure this thing out here the next couple weeks.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, yep.